Good morning, Bucknutters. It's Tuesday, April 19th, 2016. I am Dan Rubin. This is the Bucknuts Morning 5 and Change. Joined, as always, on Tuesdays by Duane Long. Duane, how are you this fine Ohio morning?
Oh, man, enjoying the spring is finally here. It's absolutely beautiful here already this morning. It's going to be a great day.
Yeah, it's still a little overcast in the Gem City, but we'll take the weather. Speaking of weather, Mother Nature must be a Buckeye fan, given that Saturday was probably the nicest day of the year here in the Buckeye State. An incredible experience for the spring game. The superlatives have been doled out, and rightfully so. Duane and I are going to get into the details here. You've heard everybody's analysis on the spring game. We're going to try and pitch it forward here a little bit, maybe take the next step. We're going to start at the top. So two of the main storylines or themes that came from them, Joe Burrow looked fantastic. The other one, J.T. Barrett and the passing game struggled, I thought. Which was more realistic to you? Which seemed like reality? And what's your vibe on the quarterback position after the game?
If those guys went in there even into that game, I think it's clear that Joe Burrow was a better quarterback. He looked sharper. I saw him make audibles. I saw this guy make passes. He was so accurate with his throws. He wasn't throwing it up and hoping that the guy was going to get there. I saw that a few times from JT. You know, he put it up and counted on his receiver to make a play, and sometimes they did. But Burrow was just so accurate. He was finding the open guy. He spread it around. Another thing that I loved about what he did was he took some tremendous punishment and hung in there every time, delivered it, and took the blow. And when he was asked to run, he did so very, very effectively. I thought he was going to break that last tackle and maybe take that one to the house. So I think we're in good hands with quarterback. And let me throw out Stephen Collier in there. He had some questionable throws, but for the most part, he was solid. So I think that we're in a whole other era with quarterback play here at Ohio State.
I would agree with that. Obviously, Burrow was. It exceeded my expectations, and my expectations for Burrow were pretty high. Not from a physical standpoint, but just, man, he looked, I think he audibled on the first snap he took, which was just, he just looked very comfortable back there. That was a little bit thicker.
He did. He audibled the very first snap of the game and threw the right ball. That made the right read, and he walked right to the line of scrimmage, audible, and made the right call. So this guy, I had heard in the spring that he was looking sharp as far as the playbook was concerned. He was putting players where he needed them, or where they were supposed to be. So he knows the entire playbook. The kid's got a quarterback brain. If he was a bigger kid, we would have been all excited about him coming here. And I think eventually most of us did get, when we saw him play at the high school level, at a higher level. We worry about Southeastern Ohio. I cannot remember a player being recruited out of Southeastern Ohio in my time. It's just a dead area in a state full of football talent. But he come out there and started playing against teams like DeSales and handled them just as easily. And right now it looks like he's ready to do that to college defenses too. Looked outstanding.
Yeah, no question. And let's all keep this in mind. Burrow is not your standard Southeastern Ohio kid. The reason he was living in the Plains near Athens is because his father is defensive coordinator of OU's football team. So at least there's a hook there. Just very impressed. If you weren't impressed completely by his play, I would encourage you to go on to Bucknuts and check out the interview post-game. He's a very even-keeled dude. I don't think he left the spring game thinking he had conquered the world, which was a great thing. I think he's a pretty level-headed guy. Topic 2, Duane, you've probably been the most vocal about this for the longest, and that's concern about safety. I will say this. I have never seen a guy I have not seen play in person before, a full game or play as well as Malik Hooker played in that game in terms of checking boxes for me, in terms of playing safety and potential. He had a form tackle stick early in the game to the right side of the line of scrimmage. I believe it was on Weber. It was a great tackle. He then had a tackle on the left sideline. I believe David Webb missed a tackle. He popped someone good. And then his athleticism in the field is just unbelievable. Has Malik Hooker made you sleep better at night about safety?
Well, when you look at his overall play plus the way the quarterbacks played, and he got 2 picks, took one of them to the house. The guy just looks like such a great-looking big safety. There was a concern that he might grow into a linebacker. Well, now we've got a kid that's just completely filled out, big, long safety. I love him back there, and like you said, he made. We look at the 2 interceptions, one of them going to the house, but overall in the entire game, he was just outstanding back there. And I can't say any of the other safeties really stood out to me, but he certainly did. Wow, did he look great! So it's a concern. I still have depth concerns. I want to see who they're going to pair him with. Hopefully, it's going to be Eric Smith. Obviously, he didn't play, but I'm told that he really did look like he could have played from people who saw him on the sidelines, and he did mix it in before they started contact. So looks like we got a good pair, but do we have depth? I don't know. We moved Damon Webb back there. I saw him a little bit. Saw EGW make one play, and that's about all I saw out of him, but Hooker running around back there, wow, did he look like an impressive athlete.
Yeah, it was impressive. It's funny, I heard Dane Brugler, the CBS draft guy, talk about Titus Powell's Eric was highlight tape and said it was just the most boring tape to watch. He was just kind of, the back protector guy. Even Von Bell's video, good. Hooker he flashes, man. He was everywhere. So I don't know how to articulate that as much as it's just his athleticism was kind of overwhelming. I'm very interested to see how Jordan Fuller plays when he gets here. The idea of those 2 back there long term, to me, I have a feeling there's going to be a draft day in the future where both of them are, who knows, getting important phone calls. Okay, I checked out.
I could see that happening with
go ahead.
Hooker. The thing with Hooker, you use the word flashes, and I use it all the time. He's just around the ball. You see a guy that's so regularly around the ball, so he's finding it and he's getting there, and that's read, react, run, and that's what we're seeing out of him. And it's important, flat important.
As I was going to say, I read a Michigan site review of the game, and obviously it's a biased, schlocky thing, but one of their impressions was the offensive line is awful. Put that in context for us, based on what you saw.
Well, I'm not going to go as far as awful, because here we are talking about the quarterback play, how well the quarterbacks played. But that goes back to the offensive line did enough. I mean, we had no cohesive unit in there. We had walk-ons at some parts of the offensive line. Remember, we lost some kids, and we've got some guys out injured. We've got 2 guys that were definitely going to be starters this fall who are not in the game. So let's put that in context. When you got one guy getting ready to be a first-round draft pick, and 2 others, have moved on, and then you've got the other 2 out. Your 5 guys from last year are no longer part of the program. So, or not, I don't want to say it, no longer part of the program, just that they're not in there. They weren't in there for that game. They weren't even mixed in. So we've got the backups plus some walk-ons, and you think that with the defensive line that we had, that they were going to look like the real deal? No. Even if those guys were in there, Dan, we're talking about cohesive unit means everything with the offensive line, and we didn't have it with this spring anywhere, any shape or form. So you got to put it in context.
I agree with that. If you look at it, first of all, you're going 10 deep on the offensive line when you do a scrimmage anyway. I believe Rashad Berry can let you know that a walk-on left tackle does not block like a starter. First play of the game, we saw that. And offensive line is the last thing to come together in terms of cohesion, like you mentioned. So I was just trying to get people fired up about Michigan there. They obviously were wrong. I have no doubt that the offensive line will be good. I was talking about this to someone the other day. If you look at it, Pat Elflein has a chance to leave here as one of the most decorated offensive linemen in the history of the program in terms of achievement, accolades. Not bad for a guy whose commitment literally didn't make a ripple. And we were told it was just some 3-star wrestler that they got. So it worked out quite well for Pat. Running back. Did you see enough from Mike Weber to think he could beat out Briante Dunn and become the full-time starter?
I absolutely did. I was never impressed with him as far as being a physical specimen, a kid that, you don't look at him and see, even Briante Dunn, he's just not a real big kid, but I saw him running real tough between the tackles. I saw him keeping his legs churning and running through. And we know he's got the outside speed. We know he can do all that in the open field. I was impressed with what I saw of him. We're going to run between the tackles here, and he did a highly effective job. I thought Antonio Williams, I thought he ran the ball real hard. He's obviously not there yet. He could have made some better decisions. But I think I like that mentality out of a bigger back that, I want to get upfield. I want to get north as soon as possible. That's a good trait in a big back.
No question. We'll go back to front here. Williams, clearly he's a little bit raw, but he's a nice compliment to Weber in that he's a big boy now. And so if when in doubt, you're just slamming yourself in there as a reserve. I don't mind that approach. Weber, to me, and I'm thrown by the number maybe, he reminds me so much of Travis Henry, the former running back for Tennessee and the Buffalo Bills. Now, on the field, mind you.
On the field,
compact, yeah, please. He's a very compact, one-cut runner, like a guy who would have been perfect on an old Denver Broncos scheme that used to swap dudes out and they get 1,000 yards. Just very tough. He had one cut through the middle where I think the play was designed to go outside. He planted his right foot and got through arm tackles very easily. One thing that concerns me about smaller backs is they go down easily at times. Weber is a powerful little guy, so the arm tackle is not going to stop him. Very impressed. And he's fresh. I am one who likes to play. I mean, I believe in the young running back can be more effective just because not as much tread on his tires. So if you go to 24/7 Sports right now, we have it up on the site. The national desk is doing a story on who's the next Christian McCaffrey, meaning the next breakout running back, and Mike Weber is one of the candidates. Certainly the running back at Ohio State is set up to do well. Just ask the NFL. We move on to tight end. This is the classic Bucknuts off-season discussion. Will the tight end get the ball more? Maybe the staff really want us to have the argument this time because I'm not sure I've seen anybody in a spring game or a tight end, mind you, look as good or natural as a receiver as Marcus Baugh did. Do you think this means he's going to be, a 35 catch plus receiver this year?
Well, I think it shows that we're at least going to use the tight end. I'm not going to say that many catches, but what it does for the passing offense down the field when you have the tight end as someone they really have to respect, it's huge. The safeties cannot just automatically go flying back to help a cornerback who's in trouble on a wide receiver. The safeties can't sit in the middle of the field and look for the crossing patterns. They've got to be concerned about the tight end. I've nenever understood, we didn't do more with them. We didn't do enough with the tight end with Tressel, and I thought that would change with Urban Meyer, and it hasn't. Maybe, they're just now getting to a guy that has the athleticism that they want to take advantage of that, to get him the ball, and it's not just an automatically he's down right there where he catches it. I thought we had some good guys. I mean, look, the NFL seems to like our tight ends, but we didn't. I don't know what the deal was. Now we're finding them, and it wasn't just Ball. We got the ball into Alexander's hands quite a few times in that game. So I'm just hoping, and what can come out of that?
No, I was very impressed with Baugh. I will admit that I got to see him do it. I'd like to get to the beginning of the season without any off-season issues. Now, he hasn't had any in a while and deserves the benefit of the doubt again. He's probably earned that back. But let's just see it. Now that he's definitely the man at that position, a lot of responsibility. Maybe that's what he needed. Some guys just aren't built to be backups. It's probably reasonable to assume that kids that come to Ohio State, a lot of them have never been a backup, never not been the man, and don't adjust to it in a great way. And maybe Ball has finally made the adjustment, but his hands look smooth. And I will say this, I said it on the air, he was one of the captains before the game. If you look when he went out there, Sam Hubbard stuck his hand out to shake and Ball didn't move. So got some angst to him, too, which I like. All right, having seen the spring game, putting it all in context, how has your opinion of the Buckeyes changed, good or bad, from when you were entering the game?
Well, I went in looking at a 10-2 team. I would have been okay with 9-3. I've always said this, that I think you win championships with defensive line and quarterback. Now, Burrow had the better game, but I still think we're fine at quarterback. We're going to be good at quarterback. I believe that JT will with a starting offensive line and starting unit in front of him. I think that he will be just fine. And obviously, if he's not, we got a guy we can go to. But the defensive line, yes, the offensive line was a mess, so we can't get too excited about the defensive line, but we saw a defensive line that has the potential to dominate football games. We've seen, we're better at safety. I think we're just as good at cornerback. I think we will be just as good at cornerback. I just, in the receivers, we saw Gibson step up. We're throwing to the tight end. I thought we looked sharp. And when it really comes down to one word, I would say we look sharp. And so often the spring game looks raggedy. It wasn't this past Saturday. It was, they were on. And I'm even more optimistic. I think that I made the statement that if we beat Oklahoma, we go undefeated through to the possible playoff bid. But now I'm even more confident that we can. I think we can go in and beat Oklahoma. Before I thought we would play well. I thought the size of the event would overwhelm these younger guys. Maybe it won't. I'm more convinced that it won't now, and we've got a lot of talent. We knew that. If the defensive line can step up and play 3/4 as good as they did in the spring game, we're going to be hard to beat.
I would agree. And there was a certain individual who I think everyone has high expectations for that was not there for the defensive line that will be come fall, and his last name rhymes with Hosa. So that should be good. Ladies and gentlemen, we appreciate your patronage. Keep it locked into Bucknuts all day. We'll be here for you. Have a great one, Bucknutters.